Every night, at exactly 7 o'clock, a dog sits by an old wooden gate, waiting through rain, winter storms, and the quiet passage of time. Nothing can deter him. People in the town watch him, their hearts filled with a mix of pity and admiration. They say he's waiting for someone who will never return, a ghost from a past that everyone else has moved on from. But what they don't know, what they can't possibly understand, is the solemn promise that fuels his undying loyalty. This is the story of that promise. In a quiet, forgotten rural town, there lived a golden retriever named Milo. He was a local legend, a furry landmark known to every soul who walked the cobblestone streets. His fame wasn't from playful antics or a friendly bark to passersby, but from a ritual as steadfast as the setting sun. Every single night, as the town clock chimed 7, Milo would appear at the old, weathered wooden gate at the edge of his property and take his post. For years, this had been his life. A life of waiting. The townsfolk had their own theories. Some saw his vigil as a tragic poem, a symbol of devotion that touched their hearts. They would leave him scraps of food or a bowl of fresh water, small gestures of kindness for the dog who waited. Others saw it as a foolish obsession, a canine quirk that made no sense. Why would a dog waste his life waiting for a memory? They couldn't fathom the depth of his commitment. But amidst all the whispers and speculations, one person held the key to the mystery. Lara, the young woman who was not just Milo's owner, but his whole world. Years ago, Lara was a bright-eyed student with the dream of becoming a doctor. The day she had to leave for medical training overseas was the hardest day of her life. She found Milo under their favorite oak tree, his golden fur shimmering in the afternoon light. She sat beside him, wrapped her arms around his neck, and buried her face in his soft fur. Her voice was thick with emotion as she whispered the words that would seal their fate. "Wait for me, okay, Milo? I'll come back. I promise." Milo, with an intelligence that went beyond instinct, let out a soft, low bark. He nudged her hand with his wet nose and rested his head gently on her lap. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was a contract, a silent pact sealed with love and trust. And for Milo, a promise was sacred. He took her words to heart, engraving them into his very being. The days that followed her departure bled into weeks, then months, and eventually, the months stretched into long, silent years. Postcards stopped arriving. The scent of her on the pillows faded, and the world seemed to move on. Lara never returned. The town slowly forgot the girl with the bright smile. But Milo never forgot. For him, time stood still. Every day, without fail, as dusk settled over the quiet town and the clock tower struck 7, Milo would rise from his spot on the porch. He'd trot down the familiar path to the gate, the very spot where he last saw Lara's car disappear down the long, winding road. He would sit, his posture perfect, his tail giving a hopeful wag every time a distant car engine rumbled. His eyes, full of a light that never dimmed, would scan the horizon, searching for the one face he longed to see. His loyalty became a local spectacle. Kind-hearted families, seeing him alone, tried to offer him a new home. They would coax him with treats, with warm beds, with promises of a new life filled with play and affection. But Milo was a dog with a mission. He would politely accept their pats, but as soon as their backs were turned, he would find a way to escape, his paws carrying him swiftly back to his post, back to the gate. Back to his promise. To him, abandoning his vigil would be a betrayal of the highest order. A promise was a promise. One brutal winter evening, a storm of epic proportions descended upon the town. The wind howled like a mournful wolf, and icy rain lashed down, turning the streets into slick, dark mirrors. People huddled inside, safe and warm by their fireplaces, listening to the storm's fury. But Milo, now old and frail, his joints aching with the cold, felt a pull stronger than any storm. He pushed open the doggy door and ventured into the tempest. His golden fur was quickly soaked, clinging to his thin frame. His paws trembled on the frozen ground, but his heart was a furnace of determination. He made his slow, arduous journey to the gate and sat. It was a lone, defiant figure against the raging elements. He waited. Lightning tore across the sky, illuminating his solitary form for a split second. The thunder roared, but Milo didn't flinch. He just sat there, a statue of loyalty, his eyes fixed on the empty road. The hours crawled by. Just as the storm began to subside around midnight, a pair of headlights cut through the darkness. A taxi, a rare sight in this small town, pulled to a stop just a few feet from the gate. The door opened, and a woman stepped out. She looked weary, her face etched with the lines of time and hardship, and tears were already streaming down her cheeks. It was Lara. Years of working multiple jobs, of saving every penny, of fighting through loneliness and despair had finally brought her back. She had been terrified that she was too late, that Milo, after all this time, would have forgotten her, or would no longer be there. She thought her promise had dissolved into the mists of time. But then, Milo saw her. His ears perked up. His tail, stiff and slow for years, began to wag, tentatively at first, and then with a wild, uncontrollable joy. A youthful energy he hadn't felt in ages surged through him. His old legs, arthritic and weak, found a sudden strength. He ran. Not the careful trot of an old dog, but the ecstatic, clumsy sprint of the puppy he once was. He launched himself straight into her arms. Lara collapsed to her knees on the wet ground, catching him as he reached her, sobbing uncontrollably as she held him tight. The years of separation, of longing, of unspoken fears, all washed away in that one powerful moment of reunion. "You waited for me," she whispered through her tears, her voice choked with disbelief and overwhelming love. "You waited all these years." Milo winced softly, licking the tears from her face, his entire body trembling with happiness. His gentle licks, his soft whimpers, they all said the same thing. A promise is a promise. The story of their reunion spread through the town like wildfire. People who had only seen a strange, sad dog waiting at a gate now understood. They cried with Lara, their hearts breaking and mending all at once. They had witnessed a love so pure, a loyalty so profound, that it felt like something from a fairy tale. Lara never left again. She rebuilt the old house, planting a garden of her favorite flowers and fixing the creaky wooden gate. And Milo spent the rest of his days exactly where he was always meant to be, peacefully by her side, his head resting on her lap, his heart finally whole. A promise made with love is a powerful thing. It can build a bridge across years, across oceans, and stand strong against the fiercest storms. Milo's story reminds us that the bonds we share with animals are not simple. They are deep, emotional, and built on a foundation of trust that can endure a lifetime. Animals remember kindness, they remember love, and as Milo proved, they never, ever forget a promise. What do you think? Do you believe animals can remember promises and feelings forever? Share your stories and thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more.